Eminence. Go throw them knees up in the air.
9, 8, 7. We have a go for main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. Rushing like a bullet into the end zone. Defense, hold up, no scoring in the red zone. Throw it up, pick 6, I feel like I'm Josh Rowe. Throwing downs over the shoulder, think I'm Jack Winmo. I need me back to back, trying to be like Vulture. Cause a storm, cause I'm mighty, it's in the culture. Esports TV, YouTube, Twitch, SFL Live, tuning you don't wanna miss. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack them. Next level like my entertainment. NXT on a stream, 8 p.m. on a beat. Catch me on the cam like I'm SFL commish. Yeah, you only got one chance, you can never miss. For the glory, revolution, feel my fury. Cause I'm a legend out in Canton, and I'm playing with dragons. I'm the king of this legion. SFL action, tuning this season. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action on a big screen. I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson.
What is up, SFL Nation? And welcome back to SFL Nights with A.J.Striker. Thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decided to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. Really appreciate it, y'all. And look who I have here with me. Some fantastic individuals. First up, I have Diggy. How are you doing?
Good. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. And of course, Senior Eddie Gage. How are you?
What's happening? I'm good.
Good to see you. And a brand new co-host sliding in. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. TJ Harper, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, fantastic. Just got done watching Axel's show. They just released their little voting, so kind of hyped up for that. And now we're going to talk some minors.
Hey, sounds good. We sure are. Now, and there were some fantastic minors games that happened this week, but not only will we talk about that, we're going to talk about the SFLm Playoffs that will be happening on the 10th. Great ball to watch. Hot topic question of the day. Well, actually, it's going to be 2. What are the thoughts on the new code of conduct rules that were set in place over the weekend? And I have a great question from Xavier Solomon. I'm just summing this up though. Should old linemen only be paying $1 a month to actually play because their position is not as glamorous and they don't get a lot of shine? Should they pay less? So it's going to be a very interesting question. And in my 4th and goal interview will include rookie class members, linebacker Tommy Wellbrock-Busse from the Ottawa Cavalry, and cornerback J.W. Hartshorn from the Annapolis Navigators, and lastly, newly acquired Baltimore player, tight end Ceasar Akermann. So it's going to be a great show for you guys. Glad to have you here. And week 8, here we go. The Lexington Miners took on the Annapolis Navigators, where the Navies won 20-3. Lexington had 53 yards passing, 148 yards rushing for 201 yards total. The time of possession was 19 minutes and 19 seconds with 2 mistakes. Annapolis had 176 yards passing, 49 yards rushing for 225 yards total. Their time of possession was 24 minutes 27 seconds with 1 mistake. Player of the game was quarterback Gene Struthers. 30 completions out of 43 attempts, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 rushing yards. So, gentlemen, let's break down this game, shall we? Who wants to go first?
I think we'll
Okay.
I was going to let Eddie go first since he called it.
All right.
And then we'll just pop in.
Sounds good.
Which one?
Big star. Big star, man.
Lexington Miners and the Annapolis Navigators.
My man Jay, head coach over there in Annapolis, got his second win as a head coach this season. Kind of a down year for him, but we all been there. I'm sure he'll bounce back in the future. Annapolis, in my opinion, was gifted. I shouldn't say gifted the win, but they.
I mean, 52 passing yards, you kind of got to say it's gifted to win at that point.
I won't necessarily say it's gifted to win, but when their opponent is coming out on 3rd and long on more situations than I can recall, trying to run the ball to the outside, it's a recipe for disaster. You pretty much hurting yourself. I mean, granted, they were still relatively close to being in the ball game, but at least for most of the contest, at some point it's going to come back and bite you. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. But shout out to Jay. He did what he needed to do to get the win, and Annapolis finishes with 2 wins on the season.
Well, great win, like you said, by Annapolis. They finished strong, and I think they had a good game. And like you and I talked about way before, this wasn't the Annapolis that we're kind of used to seeing. And it took them a while to kind of figure things out after losing a running back that was as valuable as they had for multiple seasons. And I think they'll come back better next season. Like Eddie said, it's a learning curve, and I think they've got things figured out with what they need to do. We'll see what they can bring to the table. They know what's going to work, what's not work, and they've kind of figured some bugs out. So congrats on sticking with it, and congrats on finishing out strong on your season. Going out with a win, bad record or not, it's always an upswing on the end of the season there. So congrats on that.
Yeah, like I was saying on the stat line earlier, I know the passing yards weren't there for Lexington. That's just a nod to the defense there. They've kind of been very similar to my team, Lincoln, just very Jekyll and Hyde all year. They'll have games where they come out and blow a team up by, 14 plus, and then they'll have other games where they just put up a zero burger, kind of like they did today. And I think a lot of the issues with those teams is just not having star players in those big key positions that they need, especially quarterback, halfback, and receiver. You kind of have to have that little trinity there, and the minors to have a shot. But if they have a lot of players returning next year and just keeping the same coaching staff, I think they'll take this opportunity to really just kind of figure out where they went wrong, especially with those weird runs, like you said, on those 3rd and longs, and they're running outside. I'm sure they had a hiccup with their playbooks too as well. So should be a good learning experience for those guys. I'm looking forward to see what they can do next year.
Indeed. And next year be right around the corner. As fast as this year went, you're right there. The Lincoln Rattlesnakes took on the Tacoma Grizzlies, where Tacoma won 28-20. Lincoln had 280 yards passing, 71 yards rushing for 351 yards total. Their time of possession was 21 minutes, 45 seconds with 1 mistake. Tacoma had 287 yards passing for 54 yards rushing, 341 yards total. Their time of possession was 22 minutes, 2 seconds with 1 mistake. Player of the game was quarterback King Jackson. 31 completions out of 42 attempts, 287 yards, 4 touchdowns, so the quarterback rating of 123.8. So, TJ, you was just talking about the Lincoln Rattlesnakes. I don't know if you want to start this one off, buddy, but you sure can if you want.
Not only does our pass defense stink, we don't have too many updaters back there, but Tacoma's receivers and King Jackson, our quarterback, are very good. It's hard to win a game when you allow the opposing quarterback to complete 75% of his passes. It's hard to win a game when you can't run the ball against them because they've got very strong linebackers there. And they were in the backfield all game, or at least meeting us, at the line of scrimmage. So that's kind of something that Lincoln would typically lean on throughout the season. They might not have had the wins to follow, but they've kept them pretty competitive. Even though the score is 28-20, I didn't feel like the game was as close as the score shows. It felt like we were down, more 14 than maybe 8 points, just because we could move the ball, but we couldn't complete drives. We weren't getting field goals. They really just swarmed as a team, and I was really happy to see them end on a really strong note, and for them to get the dub because they earned it that game.
Interesting. Diggy?
Tacoma, great defensive game. They had a good interception in there. They did have a slip up on a couple tackles that led to, Lincoln getting a long run touchdown, but they could have stopped that one. Just the couple little slips like that. It was a great game by King Jackson, and also, where was I saying here? I wanted to give some credit to Slider trying to bring the team back and staying in the fight. So it was a good game, I thought, a fun one to watch. And also, shout out to King Jackson. I mean, I watched that interview he had with you. Seems like a hell of a guy and a fun person to get in anybody's locker room. So.
Yeah, he is. Definitely. Eddie, you have anything to add?
Not too much, but I just wanted to figure out if Diggs is trying to recruit King Jackson to take over your place, because he mentioned him like 5 times, trying to figure out he's trying to get you to retire and make him a Scorpion or what.
I'm sorry. What do you call in the game where you mentioned Swole's name like, I don't know, 75 times, something like that?
He just likes he likes the sound of it. Swole.
Definitely don't. Definitely don't.
I was joking.
Hey, I almost named my player something else, but I'm gonna save it for my second go around when my career's done. And
okay, just
well, I could stake claim right now, right? I could stake claim right now.
I mean, you could steal it because they might steal it though, especially if it's something that's nice. Just tell us off. Just tell us off.
Nice. Okay. Off camera.
The Ottawa Cavalry took on the San Jose Flight, where San Jose won 23-16. Ottawa had 257 yards passing, 29 yards rushing for 286 yards total. Their time of possession was 19 minutes, 51 seconds with 2 mistakes. San Jose Flight had 172 yards passing, 221 yards rushing for 393 yards total. Time of possession was 24 minutes, 9 seconds with 4 turnovers. Player of the game was halfback J.Z. Bacon with 20 attempts, 141 yards, 1 touchdown, 30 reception yards. Gentlemen, this was a make or break game for Ottawa, obviously, for them to be into the playoffs. So what are your thoughts on this?
I'll start this one. Ottawa, their defense had a great game, for what they were playing against, and they did what they could to keep them in the game. The offense they didn't do what I said. They didn't come out and throw everything they had out there. I mean, it still kind of played it safe, but they just continued to kind of stall out. I mean, the defense and special teams did what they could. I mean, there was a fantastic play in there. The greatest play of the game, I thought, was where they punted it and it hit the San Jose Flight guy back at the 2-yard line, and the guy soccer slides into the end zone, grabs the football, and gets a touchdown. Like that was insane. But I think that was Ottawa's first opportunity to get points on the board, where they actually scored. So, I mean, to lose and then still get in the playoffs. It's been a crazy season so far, and that just adds to it. But congrats! I watched Axel's show, like TJ was talking about before our show started here, and congrats to Nicholas Russell on that interception. So
I'm going to come out and just beat on the drum. I'm a big Lakeman fan, and Ottawa can be a bit challenging to some teams. I think a lot of their issues, like you said, is just like not continuing those drives. They would, and that's kind of been an ongoing thing for them the last kind of 3 weeks. It's just stalling out, and I know that's got to be really frustrating for their offense. It's got to be really frustrating for their coaches. But being able to throw out a fresh playbook kind of backing into the playoffs like they did, I would just tear whatever playbook they have apart and just rip it apart and go fresh. As for San Jose, J.Z. Bacon looked good, and he was getting a lot of help from his fullback, and they were really tough to contain. And, as you can see with the Ottawa defense, it kind of wore them down later on in the game. And they just kept grinding that ball and just winded down the clock on them. I expect more from Ottawa, and I think that's kind of like a little coming out game from San Jose at the same time. They stomped on them, and they kept the foot on the throat and didn't let go.
I think those two gentlemen said enough.
Yeah,
Next.
I mean, he got nothing. That's what that is. Lastly, the Madison, huh?
He didn't even drop a congrats on the win.
I mean, not even. Dang, bro.
Good job. Good job doing what you're supposed to do, winning the game. Good job.
See, anyway, the Madison Lynx. And the game of the week for me, I don't know if this was the game of the week for everybody on this panel and for everybody in the league, but definitely game of the week for me. Madison Lynx taking on the Albuquerque Adams, where Albuquerque pulled out a win 34-31 in overtime. Madison had 280 yards passing, 67 yards rushing with 347 yards total. Their time of possession was 23 minutes and 35 seconds with no turnovers. Albuquerque, on the other hand, had 371 yards passing, 54 yards rushing, 425 yards total. Time of possession was 29 minutes, 47 seconds, with 3 turnovers. Player of the game was halfback Josh Slapp. 22 attempts, 46 yards, 2 touchdowns, 86 reception yards. So, gentlemen, please tell me, what did you think about this exciting ball game?
Albuquerque dominated time possession. Madison came out and did a bit more of what I've been clamoring for them to do, and that's run the football. They actually had more than double their season average. Coming in, they were only averaging like 30-something yards a game. I think 31 yards a game on the ground. So to come in here and see them actually attempt to run the ball more was something for them to build on the playoffs, hopefully, because they depend a lot on that passing game and just put so much pressure on the quarterback. But I think if, come the playoffs, they're going to be playing against the better teams. And I would like to see them run the football more. And, it's crazy because Albuquerque is showing that championship pedigree. They lost the turnover battle 3-0, but yet they still found a way to win the game in overtime. So shout out to that coaching staff, whoever they are. I can't remember his name right now, but shout out to Josh and that crew over there doing their thing, and they got to win. I was trying not to say his name, but couldn't help it.
Indeed. Who's next?
Well, I was hoping Madison could come in and slap the L on there. But
so you was pulling for Madison? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was pulling for Madison. I mean, they played them extremely well. And
why were you pulling for Madison?
That was what?
Why were you pulling for Madison?
Because that's my alumni.
So what you're saying is you had some bias in there. You was rooting for Madison. What you're saying?
Oh yeah, I was rooting for Madison.
I'm just checking, man.
The championship game before the championship game. That to me was a championship game. That's what that was, and it was. It went down to the wire, went into overtime. You know, Madison's defense played amazing, like they've played most of the season. I said it all season. Madison's defense is back after an off season last year. Intercepting it when the game everybody thought was over with 2 minutes left in overtime, and you know the Adams had the ball there, intercepted it right in the end zone, and their offense just did what it does, and it stalled out. And that's something Madison for the past few seasons has to overcome, is that offense and stalling out, and they need to figure it out. And when they do, they'll be a force on both sides of the ball. But it was a tough loss, and it kind of it ruined my night. I'm not gonna lie, it ruined my night. But congrats to the Adams. And I'll talk more on that when we get into the playoffs picture here. But good win. And like Eddie, I can't remember what was the kicker that kicked that? He had some good kicks in there.
Yay, Verity?
Yeah.
So
including the game winner.
I love that name. All right, TJ, you got anything to add?
I just wanted to tag on, just like, you're right. I kind of feel like these are the two best teams in the minors right now. I hope they get a shot at a rematch. I think that one, I'm kind of biased too. I'm kind of pro Madison, and I wouldn't say I'm not pro Adams, but I kind of like rooting for the underdog a little bit, even though they're 6-2 going into the playoffs. They're not that much of an underdog. That Adams team is pretty stacked. Both the teams are really stacked with talent. You know, especially on both sides of the ball, which I think is where a lot of the minor league teams kind of they don't have that balance. And seeing Michael Brown come out and run that ball more for the Lynx and being effective is going to be so huge for those guys in the playoffs. I'm really excited to see what they do with the playbook and see if they get a shot at a rematch. I mean, that's kind of what I want. Even if you didn't watch the game, just go watch the fourth quarter. The last couple scores, the almost drive for the tie, and then the long field goal by Verity to clinch that dub, even though it was like 40 plus. I mean, it's not an easy kick. So I'm excited for a rematch. I think the league wants it too.
You know, ever since Diggs went to the pros and left Madison, the talent at the linebacker position for Madison has increased dramatically.
Oh, dang, man.
Hey, you want to know what? Alvarado, I played with him, and he took over the linebacking position after I left, and I passed the torch. So the teacher taught well.
Okay. Nice comeback. Nice one. Well, that means that top 4 teams are the Madison Lynx, the Albuquerque Adams, San Jose Flight, and the Ottawa Cavalry. Special shout out to Lexington Miners, Lincoln Rattlesnakes, Tacoma Grizzlies, and the Annapolis Navigators for their good season. I mean, maybe you didn't win as many games as you thought you would, but I think that the player experience, being able to build your player, getting those progressions in, making him or her as strong as possible to be able to get drafted on draft day. I think that, and even the camaraderie that you found in your locker room, that you're going to wind up taking throughout your entire SFL careers is going to be much more than just your record. So hopefully that helps. But shout out to all teams. You guys are getting a lot better, and it makes waiting for the majors to come back around a lot better. It's a lot less of a wait if because we're watching so many good games. But playoff outlook will include the number 1 seed Madison Lynx taking on the number 4 seed Ottawa Cavalry. Gentlemen, what do you think about this?
Biggs,
Ottawa's,
you used to play for Madison. Go ahead.
unless Ottawa's, I'm just gonna say it. You already know I'm gonna pick Madison on this one, and unless Ottawa really heavily changes something on that offense, Madison's defense I think is just gonna be too much for them. Madison's defense played at a higher level most all season. They've had a couple slip up games, but if they come out and play like they played most of the season, it's just gonna be too much for them. Even if Madison's offense doesn't step up to the level, I think they've just got a better overall around team than Ottawa does. And Ottawa, I mean, let's kind of be real about it. There was only 2 or 3 teams with a decent record in the playoffs, and 3 wins and getting into the playoffs is kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's not a record you see or would think about seeing to make the playoffs. So right off the bat, I mean, it could be a Cinderella story. Who knows? But for me, it's just Madison's. It's too much.
Okay.
Be careful saying that when it's a tight game in the fourth quarter. You're like, man, I know I just talked about them last week only having 3 wins, but I overall I agree with you. And hopefully Madison will use this game to try and get their running game involved a bit more and get more comfortable, with the set of plays they dial up for them, because I think they're going to need it. Well, they are going to need it should they advance to the championship game.
All right. TJ?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be. I don't want to feel like I'm jumping on them more, but I wouldn't want to be in Ottawa's shoes right now and loading up in the chamber and going, into Madison with offense that has struggled this back half of the season. They have talent, and they've got some younger coaches, and I think whatever they decide to do, they should just get as experimental as possible and see if they can sneak a win and try to get on to the next round. Madison is just pretty stacked on both sides, and I think defensively, especially with their CBs and safeties, they're going to give that passing game of Ottawa a lot of issues, and we might see a lot of turnovers in this game, especially if one of the teams gets ahead early.
Yeah, I mean, Madison did not make a mistake last game. They number 1 team. They have a lot of things going in their favor. Calvary's only 3-4 team to make it. 3-5, excuse 3-4,
3-5.
There's 8 weeks.
3-5. It is a tall order. I am going to go with Madison on this because of the efforts that they've shown all season, not just for one game. They have been a force to reckon with, and even going toe-to-toe with Albuquerque and literally hanging with them into the bitter end. That does say something. They have that the momentum in their corner at this point. So that's why I think Madison's going to wind up taking it. Second game will be the Albuquerque Adams taking on San Jose Flight. Albuquerque is number 2, and the Flight is number 3. So, gentlemen, who do you have?
I got. Go ahead. I got Albuquerque winning this one. That said, San Jose all season has been, it's always been Albuquerque and Madison at the cream of the crop, but San Jose is not far behind them. And I think they're going to make it a good game, but eventually the experience and that coaching staff of Albuquerque is going to help them pull away late in the second half.
Okay. TJ?
The San Jose players and coaches have been beating the drum really hard, and they have a belief that they can potentially go in there and win, and I'm starting to kind of believe maybe they could too. And Albuquerque the Adams are tough. I mean, they've got talent everywhere. Their coaching staff, they haven't coached themselves into a loss this year. But it's playoff football right now, So the regular season doesn't matter anymore, and we're back to do or die. And I think San Jose's got the best shot of upsetting in the playoffs. And I hope they can stick in there long enough throughout the game to get into that fourth quarter and be within a handful of points and give a good showing. If they can do that, they have a shot.
Okay. Diggy.
I think this will be a really close game, and it'll probably come down to who has the football last. San Jose does really have a chance to pull this one off. Like TJ said, they've been in a lot of close games this year. Some they've lost, and a lot of times they've been able to find a way to come back in some of those wins. So that being said, they're never out of it. So I think the Adams probably get ahead early, and San Jose makes it a heck of a game and comes back in the end. So I'm gonna go San Jose.
Okay. Personally, I think it's going to be a replay of. Let me prerequisite that statement before I say it.
Take your time.
I think that Adams are going to win this game. If this was the Adams of last season, maybe 2 seasons ago. I'm sorry, if this was the flight of 2 seasons ago, I think they would take this game. I think that the flight lost a lot of pieces in the draft, in Christian and Adam Chance moving into ownership. And I think that is where their struggles come in. I'm not games that I was expecting them to win, they lost, and vice versa. So I'm just not sure which San Jose flight team is going to be there. On the other hand, with Adams, they are pretty consistent with everything that they do, especially the defense. So because of that fact, I'm going to go with the Adams, meaning that the championship will consist of the Madison Lynx and the Albuquerque Adams, which will be a replay of that Week 8 matchup. And if that's going to be a heck of a game to watch if that is the case. I mean, this one was, I wasn't even playing and I was excited. My heart was racing. So I can only imagine, if these two teams meet up again, what the outcome is going to be. So it's going to be a good one to watch either way. But
isn't the teams with the most two-way players San Jose and Albuquerque anyway? I think it is. Albuquerque and San Jose have the most two-way players.
You might be right about that.
So, but I think
that's one thing low-key I don't like.
Well, Albuquerque has Grimm, who's already been in I think he's the oldest two-way player, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure someone will correct me, but I think Grimm's the oldest two-way player right now. So when we talked about the curse stuff before, okay, this is kind of really muddied the water on some stuff. The past two teams that played in the championship having a bad season next season. Ottawa had a bad season this season, 3-5, okay, but they still eke their way into the playoffs. Now, the only team that's survived this curse thing has been the Adams, because they won it, went 8-2 the next season, and then lost in the playoffs first game. So this could be another, hey, we won last season and fall off again. But even if they win the whole thing, I mean, it's just, to me, there's going to be a bunch of people that put an asterisk by the championship. And I'm not trying to throw shots or nothing like that. I'm just saying how people are thinking. Some of these two-way players, there needs to be something put in line here where if you've played a full season in the pros, you can go back down. But this 2 seasons in the pros, 3 seasons in the pros, whatever, you can't go back down no more. You had 1 season in the pros, you rode that position, didn't see a lot of playing time, fall back down. Okay, cool. 2 seasons in the pros, sorry about you. There needs to be some kind of limit here, because I know Axel had the All-Star or the Prospect Bowl list announced today, and some of the people that are on that thing are two-ways. I mean, to me, the whole thing with this Prospect Bowl is to give shine to these fresh rookies and let them get in there and do their thing. But I know I got off topic, but I wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Oh, did anybody else want to add to that before we move on to the hot topic question?
I totally agree 100%. Guys on, I don't know if the league, or should I say Rastelli, takes into account when he's performing these rosters every season, how many teams get two-way players and tries to balance it all out, or if he even looks at that, I don't know. But it just doesn't seem fair that teams have to compete against that if that's the case.
And to play devil's advocate, some of the two-way players' builds aren't that good. But some of them...
Dante Grimm?
Some of them are just in those key center field positions like a Dante Grimm, and it really affects any sort of passing offense he goes into. I mean, I wish I would have had a Dante Grimm in our backfield in Lincoln. That would have been fantastic. We got somebody that had stopped updating, so that was our kind of two-way, and some two-way players are still updating throughout the season. So it just kind of, I think you're starting to see these teams pull away with the two-way players, especially the ones that are still progressing.
That's a good point. And I wonder how the rookies feel about that as well. Do they feel like they're maybe not getting enough, as much shine as a two-way player would because they are not as strong? Their progressions are not as
I don't think it's the shine. I don't think it's the shine thing. I think it's, to me, if I was fresh in the league, but we didn't have the two-way stuff. But when I was first, if I would have had a player like Dante Grimm in there that's been more than 2 seasons in the pros or had 2 seasons in the pros and then still comes back down to the minor, I mean, it's deflating. You're a guy that has a limited build that's trying to show what you can do with what little you have, and getting smashed by a guy that's taking every PED he can get his hands on and just coming there. I mean, you don't stand a chance, man. It's like David and Goliath and hoping you get that one hit. I mean, it's
good point. I think there probably should be a limit on the amount of seasons a two-way player could actually have, because you want to give everybody a fair shake. You want to give everybody a shot. And to be real, not all of the rookies that are in the rookie class is going to make it to the majors. So if they didn't have the two-way players to compete against, at least they could see their players shine a little bit more. That's my thoughts on that. But hot topic questions, I actually have 2. One is comes about offensive linemen in the community, and this comes from Xavier Solomon. He is a tight end for the Lexington Miners, and he says, "I'm not sure if this is possible, but here goes. Looking at the rosters, the turnout for O-line is weak. For a full roster of contracted O-linemen, you need 1 center, 3 guards, and 3 tackles. That equates to 196 total offense lined roster spots. If we narrow that down to just starters, 1 center, 2 guards, 2 tackles, that is 140 roster spots. What if a person, out of that 140, just 27 of the starting roster spots are filled, leaving 113 empty slots. That's just 19.3% filled. What if a person could choose to pay, say, $1 per month to have an O-lineman? I mean, at least until there is more interest in people coming to the league to play in those roles. This, of course, would be an add-on to those who already have an active player, but who would like to have a lineman as well. I understand that those 27 folks who have developed a lineman have been paying for that lineman. Maybe they could be offered a position player for the same $1 per month price point if they so desire. This plan would not only create for a stronger gameplay, but would also generate an additional $1,356 for the league if you just did the plan to fill the starting spots. 1,680 if you fill the starting spots and offer the 27 linemen the same option to build a position player. Lastly, there are roughly 568 players holding roster spots in the SFL, and that is not counting the SFLm. If there was enough interest to fill all the starting and bench spots, 196 spots in total, that would generate $2,352 for the offensive lineman's retirement home fund. Just something to think about. And one of the first responses was the deputy commissioner, and he responded that current O-line players are allowed to have extra O-line players for free. Then there's a salary cap. Having 5 O-line players signed to your roster equates to 13% of the team's total salary cap at minimum. So, gentlemen, what are your thoughts on this particular topic?
I mean, I'm getting ready to drop, what is it, $80 for 6 months, and then somebody's gonna drop $6. No.
It'll be additional.
Yeah. The dollar thing. I mean, if they lowered it to, like, I don't know, something $5, something. I mean, a little cheaper, or it just opens up more questions. Like, okay, can we turn the offensive lineman position into a waiting list? Yeah, you're an offensive lineman, and you can. We're just waiting for a new position to open up so you can fill in that. But it's already first come, first serve. If you're not quick enough to get on the running back position that opened up, or a quarterback position that opened up, that's not fair to everybody else. I get he's wanting to fill the rosters up and fill those positions with actual people. I get that, and a cheaper price might entice some people to do that. But if it's $1, I mean, I'm not financially invested in a person that a position I really don't care about. You know what I'm saying? So who cares if I come in here and upgrade it or not? Or who cares if, I mean, there's no feeling like I'm invested in that player. And I think maybe to entice some people to take that position, I mean, it'd be more work, but maybe keep track of pancakes or something. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not a luxurious position that's going to get a bunch of stats that people like to see. I know, some people liked the position because they maybe played it when they were in school, or they just like creating the opportunities or knowing they're going to play every down. But they do get a lot of recognition here, and I give a lot of props to the broadcasters and the announcers and stuff on that. They do give recognition to the linemen, and you don't get that in a lot of other leagues. So I want to shout that out to them, making sure everybody's acknowledged in the game at least. So.
Mm-hmm.
So $1. I mean, first of all, you're never going to see the league or any other business, for that matter, cut the price on something. They've already said it, and I don't think he's ever going to decrease it. Just like gas, you'll never see gas go down back to $2 a gallon. It's just not going to happen. I see his point he's trying to make, and like Jane Benazzi said from Denver, he loves being an offensive lineman because he thinks, there's a lot of games in which receivers may only get two or three catches, but offensive linemen, their name gets called more often because the broadcast crew does a great job of, reminding the audience of what a great job they're doing, or if they're not doing a good job, and so on and so forth. So I don't see that ever changing. And to say that offensive linemen, you can get that second one for free. The player gets them for free, but they kind of gets the cap because now you're paying for two positions. So Yeah, I can't. I don't see that ever happening.
Well, to toss in on what you're saying, they can only upgrade one at a time, too.
Correct. They can only upgrade one. So if you got 2 O-line, you can only upgrade one of them per week. But there's some people who like being offensive linemen. Like, for example, we have 3 offensive linemen, and 2 of them are former defensive linemen who asked to go to the offensive line. So I wish I had more of them. So season 21, rookies, free agents, come out of Arizona. We'll be glad to talk to you.
Okay, TJ.
I was going to say I like the idea of it, like on the surface, like initial reaction, like cool, let's get some more people controlling the offensive line. But with the cap situation the way it is, it's not a very flexible thing, and unless they got rid of that or modified it heavily, I don't see how that would work. Maybe kick some more points to team owners to spend weekly on their line. I don't know what route would go best. I do feel like they're kind of undervalued a little bit. And it is like Eddie must be happy as heck to have 3. I mean, some teams have 2, but to have 3, it sure makes a great advantage. But I mean, the league's at 23 players per team. How many? I don't know what the expectation is if for rosters growing. I know you guys are probably discussed it in the owners meeting. I don't know if they're ever going to expand, so that's that issue as well. So kind of just depends on the growth of the league and kind of go from there.
Eddie, who was it? Wasn't it was it last draft? Somebody waived their pick and built that line. They went bronze players. Who was that?
Motor City.
That's right.
I agree with TJ. I mean, I can see it both ways. So on the surface, hey, you pay a little extra, you get to control another player, right? So you got 2 for the price of 1. Well, actually, not really. You got 2. So let's say you're paying your $80 and then you're spending an extra $1 per month to progress another player. Your players will not be able to progress as fast because you are alternating them. And I think for me, the deal breaker was the salary cap, because unless Cam is getting ready to give us some extra money somewhere, unfortunately, we have what we have right now. But I think if they did do some kind of an add-on to or some kind of incentive for O-linemen to join, or to join as an O-lineman, I think that could be a little bit more attractive than having one person control 2 players. So perhaps the league should look into seeing how we can make that O-line position a little bit more attractive, because we're unfortunately not able to keep up with the stats. We'd actually have to have someone just watching the O-lineman just to be able to have stats per game. And we can't hardly get people to be statisticians for all the games that we already have, let alone to just watch one particular position each time. So I like the idea, and I'm glad that, Mr. Solomon did put that in there. I encourage anybody to throw your ideas, because, hey, maybe something will stick, and just don't be afraid to, because you never know what might come of it. But good stuff, you guys. One more question before we slide over to my 4th and goal interview. As you know, I did revise some of the code of conduct rules that we have now in the league, and you will be the first crew that I've actually asked about, what is your opinion on it? Is it clear? Is it more clear? Is it more concise? What are your thoughts?
Clear. You put it in bold.
Hey, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
I think the only hiccup I saw was what is considered badgering, and what is that threshold for badgering, and And like most things with bullying and things like that, it's not a clear black and white thing, and I think that's kind of hard to codify. And you could put as many examples as you wanted, but as long as people aren't really nitpicky about that and just allow you yourself as that, that head being able to make those calls, and as long as you consistently make those, I don't see it really being an issue. But other than that, everybody that's here in the league, especially like people like Brett, who originally didn't even have a player. I know that kind of covers people like him and all the other Discord members that are hanging around. So it's nice to see. I'm a big fan of kind of having that gentleman's code, so to speak, to keep everybody in check. So that way, if they do step over the line, there's consequences. So it keeps it fair for everybody.
Okay. To your point. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I agree with both those guys. And like TJ said, the definition of badgering, and picking on and all that stuff is going to be different for everybody. For example, we saw a few weeks ago in one of the servers in which one person thought something was over the line. I forget who it was, and it was Wyo who said, I don't see the big deal at all. So it all depends on who you're talking to, what the subject matter is. And at the end of the day, I think we all just have to be careful not to walk that fine line and cross it, because one's interpretation of badgering or being picked on is different from someone else. And in the end, Ashley is the the police, the judge, and the execution in the matter. So I think in the end, we all just have to use common sense when interacting with the public. So, including me, because there's been times I've particularly picked on one person who pissed me off several seasons ago. And when I read the code of conduct, that's a violation. So I got to be careful.
Diggy?
Yeah, I think you did your best with what you have to work with. Okay, because there's really, honestly, am I coming across okay? Because my thing says low system.
Yeah, you good.
Okay. You're doing the best with what you have. Okay, because there's honestly too much in this that's open up, like Eddie said, to different people's interpretation of stuff. And that's based off of your own upbringing. That's based off you personally. That's based off everybody's different type of view on stuff. So the stuff in there like what was it? Disrespectful actions. To me, it may be nothing. To TJ, it may be something. So I think maybe once some stuff kind of plays out, which hopefully, if everybody is respectful and treats everybody how they want to be treated, shouldn't be any issues. But there's always going to be somebody on having a bad day that reads something wrong and an issue starts. So, it's bound to happen here soon. So once you kind of put your foot down and dish out some kind of reaction to it, and we know where the line is, and it's a clear line, and the standard has been set, and the punishment from there forward is consistent throughout, then I think it's good. And maybe you can clarify the rules a little bit more from there, depending on the situation that comes up. Because right now that don't bother me, but it bothers me. So it's kind of still a wait and see type deal. So hopefully, like I said, we can continue to kind of clarify that a little bit more when things come up, and you can be a little bit more precise in some of the rules on there.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughts and your opinions on that. I will say this. In reading over the rules and trying to keep this in mind, that I have 2,000 158 people that's in the Discord server. They have all different thoughts, all different opinions, all different feelings. I don't think that one can clearly define what badgering is, what this, because everybody has their own thoughts on it, right? So one of the main things that I put in there that wasn't there was the fact that you two work it out first. If it comes across my desk, that means it's very serious, and that means I'm going to have to act on whatever it was. Now,
when it comes
my
across
thing
your
is-
desk, does it come across your desk printed? They hand it to you? Is it like an email? Or is it DM? How does it come across your desk?
It's typically as a DM. It is printed. It's a
So
printed
it comes
DM.
across your screen, is what he's saying. It don't come
Well,
across your
I
desk.
mean, how do you know I don't have a desk? You know, well, actually, my computer is sitting on my desk,
But it's still
so that
on the
means
screen.
technically it's on my, but it's on my desk.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
So, but I put that language in there because there are still some gray areas that I could try to clearly define, like you said, and there could be some room for, you know, further clarification. But when you have so many people that you're trying to govern, in a sense, it is subjective. And my number one thing is treat people the way you want to be treated. First off, you don't want to be disrespected. You don't want to be called out of your name. You don't want to be badgered into, you know, hey, are you going to sell your team? Are you going to sell your team? Are you going to sell your team? You don't want to be badgered like that. You don't want to be bad or belittled in any way because you had a bad game and now it's just turned personal. But
Wait, so when so and so was asking so and so to sell his team, it was repetitive? I didn't know that.
yes, it actually was. And it became a problem.
So
And I had to deal with that too.
So what about, like, if TJ says something and I'm joking around with him, dropping emojis, but he takes it as, man, this guy's harassing me. Every time I say something, he's got something else to put on there, and it's negative. But he doesn't say anything to me, and he comes straight to you.
And I'm going to tell TJ that he needs to talk to you about it.
Yep.
That's going to be my first question. Did you talk to this person about it? Because the way I'm going to run things, I am not going to make a ruling. I'm not going to do anything unless I know that you have talked to this person. And then I'm going to ask the person just to make sure that you guys have spoken. So you can also use me as an arbitrator as well. Some of the language that I put in there, if you don't feel comfortable with coming to that person by yourself, I will go in the room with you and then you guys can work out whatever it is. And if it cannot be worked out, I am going to tell you just no longer have any contact with that person.
TJ Harper intimidates me, Ashley. Can you come with me when I go talk to him? Because I'm kind of scared.
Hey, but see, some people might be like that. Some people may not. Some people may think that the situation would escalate even further if it was just them two talking. And so they need someone that's just going to be like on the outside, like, hey, this is what's going on. Clearly there's some miscommunication. This person does not like it when you do that.
When there's some downtime,
for the betterment of the whole situation, I would need you to please refrain from what you're doing bothering this person. And then if said person comes back to me and said that this behavior is still continuing, then that's when I have to take it a step further. So I'm kind of putting the onus on people themselves, because what I find is that there are a lot of people that are so quick to tell on each other, so quick to, I want to throw this person under the bus real quick because I don't like them for whatever reason, right? But then when it comes to you presenting some evidence that you need to, you only giving me half of it. Hold on. Hey, thank you. So my thing is, it is about us being a community. Everybody says they love the community. Everybody says how, we're all brothers and sisters in this, and we all, most of us like each other and things like that. Then why not pull your brother or your sister to the side and say, hey, what you're doing is bothering me, and I'm going to ask you to stop. That's how it would be if you were at work dealing with human resources. So think about it like that.
Since when there's downtime before the season starts, maybe that's something you should do. Hey, the rule book drop. I'm gonna have a live Q&A. Ask me. I mean, give more people some clarity on stuff or some some questions that you could kind of answer like we just threw at you, because the whole some of that what is offensive language, not offensive language, but I forget how you worded it, bothersome to somebody but not somebody else.
Mhm.
Okay, so if I looked at Harper and said, you know what, your mom, I mean, is that offensive? Does he take that as offensive, or is it me joking around with him, or is there some people get offended by that, some people don't. So I mean, there needs to be some kind of, here's the line, and this is when you definitely crossed over. There ain't no question about it, and it ain't just calling somebody a B. It's there's lesser things.
That'll be a 6-hour show, man. We don't have that kind of time.
Okay, listen. My show's already running about 5 hours. Easily. But nah.
And
That's a good idea,
just-
though. But with that, we're going to slide right on over to Fourth and Goal interviews. Coming right up.
No more parking on 25th. I got a spliff and a life to live. Can I talk about it? Next checkpoint where my head collate. I gotta say what I could not say. Can I talk about it? Oh, wow. You should have known me better.
What is up, SFL Nation? Welcome back to my Fourth and Goal interview featuring 2 rookie class members of season 20. I'm so looking forward to seeing where these guys are going. We have some hard-working rookies out here. Just finished up week 8. I have here with me Mr. Linebacker Tommy Wellbrock-Busse from Ottawa Calvary. Jeez, I couldn't get it out, man. I'm sorry.
Hey,
How
you're
you
all
doing?
good.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Hey, doing pretty good. I know you're doing pretty good because you just made it. Like, you just made the playoffs. I just slid in there.
Skin of our teeth, we made it, man.
Hey,
Ooh.
you did it, bro. And then say it again.
I ain't gonna complain. We made it.
That's right. That's right. And next up, I have Mr. Cornerback J.W. Hartshorn from the Annapolis Navigators. My Navies, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Enjoying the weather out here.
Oh, I bet, man. I bet. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, Annapolis, wasn't as dominant, this season. Perhaps because there was a lot of rookie players that were lost from last season. So that does have an effect. But, still, I know it felt good, man, to just be out there watching yourself out there on the field like that.
Oh, it was. Even when we weren't able to get the W, it was nice to just kind of be there in the locker room and just have fun, cheer each other on. Like, I don't know. A lot of people look at 2-6 and be like, "Oh, they didn't do good." It's just like, no, we had fun. We are excited, and honestly, I hope I get to play with them next year at some point, be it as a 2-way player or something.
Hey, I like that. I want to welcome both of you to the show, gentlemen. I'm truly glad to have you here. Hopefully, you let your personality shine so people know who you are when they're drafting you on draft day, hopefully. I'm going to go one by one and ask you just a couple of questions. First of all, I'm going to ask for both of you, if you feel comfortable, what is your age, your hometown, one interesting fact about yourself, and your favorite NFL team. And so we're going to start with Tommy first.
All right, so I'm 19. I may not look like it because of the facial hair, but I'm 19, turning 20 in January. Hometown is Batavia, Ohio. It's kind of outside of Cincinnati. One interesting fact about me. This is my high school, actually, right here, West Claremont. I was the first freshman class to go all 4 years in that school, brand new school.
Okay.
And my favorite NFL team is the Cincinnati Bengals. Hooday!
Okay. I can dig that. And you actually are in good company with T-Roy Gaines. He is the fullback over there in Baltimore. Yeah. Oh my God, he loves Cincinnati. Boy, he bleeds orange and black, I tell you. But JW, what about you?
Well, I mean, I just last month turned 27.
Okay.
I am from Vancouver, Washington, just like 15, 20 minutes north of Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
One interesting fact about me, oh dear, this is difficult. I used to sing for a band. I guess that's a fun one.
Oh yeah.
And well, I mean, favorite NFL team, Seahawks. I've born and raised.
Okay. I can deal with both of y'all.
Yeah, even though I'll be entirely fair here, I remember the Charlie Fry years, and those were some rough ones.
Hey, you gotta go through a bit of shit sometimes to come out clean on the other side. That's from
Exactly.
Shawshank Redemption. It's Shawshank Redemption if you don't know.
Hey, it's a good movie.
Great movie. Oh my god, one of my favorites. Yeah, I think we're all kind of struggling. You know, I'm a Bears and a Falcons fan, so I totally. Right. So.
So when will Atlanta start Ritter? I mean, come on, man. I mean, listen, I may be biased because I'm a Bearcats fan too, but put the kid out there, you know.
Well, I don't. You might as well. I mean, you wasn't doing nothing else all season, but that's a whole nother thing. But gentlemen, how did you guys find the SFL in the first place? Man, I'll start with you first, JW, on this.
Actually, I had a friend from another video game that we played on together. He was the one who kind of told me, we first started talking about football, and he said, I'm actually part of this thing, and he sent me an invite, and I wound up over here. I think he just retired recently, but he was the fullback, actually, for Arizona. Toriano.
Toriano.
Toriano. Yes, I can never pronounce his name correctly. Yeah, he got me into the SFL, and after spending a couple weeks, I was like, you know what? I think this is something I really could enjoy. So I signed up for SFLm, and well, here I am.
Wow, you coming and he going. That's crazy. Hopefully he won't be gone for long. I think he probably just took some time out, dealing with some life stuff. So
yeah, hope he's doing all good.
Yeah, me too. What about you, Tommy? How'd you find out?
Well, actually, it's gonna be funny because me and JW, I guess, had a very similar finding. But the thing is that exactly like him, I had a friend who I'm in the wrestling community with. He said one day I joined a VC with him and we're chilling. I said, what are you watching? He goes, "Oh, I'm watching this SFL. I'm currently I'm on the fleet." And I go, "What is this? Is this kind of like what we do?" It's like, actually, it's really cool. And I watched it with him and everything. He's actually the first lineman to be drafted by the fleet, the center, Jaden Taylor, for the fleet. And I watched a couple games, and I watched back some old games, and I was like, holy crap, I need to get into this. This is up my alley. And then, like JW, I signed up for SFLm, got tossed into Ottawa, and here we are right now.
Oh, that's dope. So both of you were basically brought in by friends, and I like that. The whole word of mouth thing, because we don't have commercials or anything like that. Well, at least not yet, anyway. But it's good when you have good friends that want to share that experience with you. And both guys are very good people. So then you bring other great people in, and really makes a difference and helps the league grow. So I love that. I love it. Now, have either of you ever played sports? Just on a side note.
I have. I played football back in high school. I played safety and linebacker and a little bit of corner, but it was really just because we didn't have a lot of people on our team, and I think the worst part about it was just that they're like, "You're tall, you're fast, you're on the track team, just go out there." And it's like, what do I do? Help me.
No.
I remember signing up for football, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to tackle. They're just like run into the person. I'm like, that seems counterproductive.
I could see you on the sideline saying that to your coach.
Like, coach, I don't know what to do. Just run into the guy. What?
Like, why would I do that? Oh my god. Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, so I played football for 9 years.
Okay.
I played originally youth football at the my first year was, I believe, my second grade year. I played for the Glen SD Trojans for youth football. I loved it. It made me. It was more of actually having a family feel, and that's what made me really love starting to play football. Is actually I made friends and I made more of a family rather than just meeting a team and having a team. We ended up winning 2 of our youth league championships. Our last year, we really wanted to make that, like last hurrah, great time, but we ended up losing in the semifinals to the champions of that year, which, to be honest, I couldn't be mad at that because that's probably the best way we could have ever taken it. I also played baseball and hockey for a little bit. In my sophomore year, I ended up quitting football because the wear and tear on my knees just was really too much. Also, I'm just undersized, man. Playing Division I football with my size, I'm only 5'8", man.
Oh, ooh.
Division I high school football. I mean, if you guys know these schools in Ohio, I was playing against people like Winton Woods, LaSalle, St. X. These guys were big kids. I was like,
hey, y'all looking for a water boy? I got you. I'm still on the team.
See, a lot of the reason why I was pulled onto my team was because of my size, because I was like 6'1", about 140, 150 at the time. So like I was a big kid even as a freshman when I ended up when they pulled me in, and I was just like, okay, but yeah, my knees, they did not like me after the amount of times I've had to tie like ice to my knees and just be like, oh, why do I do this to myself? It was worse than track.
I bet. Because you're not getting hit in track. The worst thing you might do is take a fall, but you're not getting hit like mini car crashes every down. No. But
true.
That brings me to a point that I would love to know, or a question I would love to know. Do you think that you're living vicariously through your players now? So you both had some experience in sports, and for one reason, for the reasons your knees, just couldn't hold up for you, either one of you. Do you get that satisfaction seeing yourself out on the field in a simulation?
I gotta say that it makes me a little happier. It makes me actually feel kind of more. Makes me feel a lot better. Because originally my dream when I played football and I started playing football was I just want to make it to the college level. I want to play college football. That's all I wanted. But after I realized that I'm not big enough to play college football, my knees are just not there, I ended up quitting. But now seeing myself in a simulation really brings me out and actually makes me a lot happier seeing me out there. And it just, I don't know, it gives me a bit of a more of at peace for what I originally wanted as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in a similar way to you there. I didn't really, case in point, I barely knew how to play, and I was just like, well, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of good friends that I made from it. It was probably the most grueling time of my life, physically, but I wouldn't regret any of it. And when, getting to see my character, like the last game we had against Lexington, I got a big pick, and I'm like, okay, you know what, that felt really nice, and it's kind of like living vicariously through my characters, but I'm mostly here for just the chance to get to hang out with people, have fun, and cheer each other on.
Excuse me.
No worries.
So, speaking of that, how has your experience been in your respective locker rooms since you joined the league? So, JW, you are a part of the
Navigators.
The Navigators locker room. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, in all fairness, especially early on in the year, there was a lot of like, just everyone was kind of like, we want to win. We don't, even if it's just like 3 points off, it's just like, I think each and every one of us were like, we would take maybe a little less stats for a chance to win. And, you know, for a while there, like, it was just like, no matter what happened, even when we lost, it was just like all of us just hyping each other up, being like, hey, we're going to get through this, we're going to get that W, and we're going to keep building on it. And I mean, honestly, I would say the captain of our defense, Gino McFly, he really was the person that got me to really kind of buy in and be like, all right, heck yeah, we're going to do this. Even if we lose, we're learning something from this.
Right. That's important. That's very important. And I'll allude to that a little bit later. And so what about you, Tommy? What's Ottawa been like?
Man, you know what? Besides it being a little cold in Ottawa, but you know what? The locker room was outstanding, and really, I could not have been placed on a better team to start off with than, well, Ottawa. I mean, kind of like JW said, even if we lost, we didn't blame one another. We simply looked at one another and said, "This is what we need to do. This is no one's fault. Let's try and go out into the next week and try and make things better." I mean, I even made friends on people on the offense. I mean, the Lake man, that man, he definitely has a future. But the thing is, he never says that he's better than anybody. He always says that he can do better. He can always do better. And that's the thing I love about the locker room. There's no egotistical people in that locker room. It's all about, this is what we did good. Here's what we can do better. Let's do better. I mean, GB, he was amazing throughout the first couple weeks, but he even said that himself that he could do a lot better. Matt Ryan came, I believe, near the middle of the season, but still, he came out firing, and he was doing great, yet he would always nitpick himself. And then he would always nitpick himself, saying like, man, I should have caught that, or man, I need to be a little more inside. The Ottawa locker room, just in general, though, was just a very nice locker room to be a part of, and I was blessed to be a part of that kind of experience.
You know, the passion and the drive that individuals have can actually inspire you, you know, as a player. You know, whenever you're feeling down, maybe you didn't make the play that you wanted to, or maybe you were just this shy from winning, you know. It is your locker room and your coaches that give you that extra push that you need, you know, to continue on. Because some people would just be like, you know what, forget this. I'm done. We're not doing this. We're not winning. You know, you could be like that. I don't think you're going to be on your team for very long with that attitude. But it is nice to be able to be a part of a locker room. And I would say most of the locker rooms in the SFL are like that. That you just feel welcome. It's a family-oriented, you know, feeling that you get, even in the community. Yes, you got your big brothers that like to pick on you and stuff like that, but in the grand scheme of things, it is a family thing. And when something happens, you all come together, and you'll see it more so if you don't already. Now, as far as your players go, so JW, you are a cornerback, and Tommy, you're a linebacker. So with your builds, are you directly responsible for the progressions that you've done, or were you getting the advice from your coaches? Was it a combination of the two, or How did it go? And I'll start with you first, JW.
For me, it was a bit of a combination of both. Especially when I was very early on. I wasn't exactly sure 100% on what to do. I was like, well, am I allowed to kind of try something a little different here? Am I supposed to follow exactly what the coaches are supposed to do? And it was like, then I'd gotten some recommendations, so I was like, you know what? Well, at that point, it got to the situation of, well, how would I build, if this is how I see myself, how would I build myself? But, I would usually go with what the coaches said, because it's like, I feel like, the coaches are leading us in a good way. But it was really kind of it was all a learning experience. I've never really done anything like this before, so it was just, right, try a couple things here and there. I remember one week, or not this last week, but the week before, someone had mentioned to me that it's like, oh, if we did the +8 secondary, we wouldn't be, I think it was copper or bronze players. I think it was bronze, and it was like, all right, well, if we do that, we get an extra week of full progression. It's like, okay, cool. So I put, I think it was 8 into catch, and I'm just like, all right, I'm getting an interception. I have had the running joke that every time before we play a game, I eat popcorn and it never catches. So, yeah. Every time it's like
hands of stone.
I had a game where it was 2 or 3 pass defenses. I'm just like, oh, I should have picked that off. What am I doing? Felt like Brucey from The Longest Yard. It's like, no, come on.
Right. At least you know what you want, how you want your player to react, and that's important to make sure that your coaches know. And your coaches are going to be very good at seeing what you do well, what you can work on, and how it'll fit in the grand scheme of things with their team build. So that was a pretty good one. That was a pretty good one to concentrate on. Tommy, what about you?
Originally, at first, I decided to go with what I wanted, which I thought would help me. But then I kind of looked at it, and someone asked, hey, does anyone have any recommendations? And this was about week 2, week 3. And there was at one point where our head coach in week 3 placed some recommendations, and he always reminded us, he says, you do not have to go with these. These are just recommendations. Do what you want to do with your player, but these are what we recommend. And then from there on forward, I started to really put into those recommendations, and really it helped my player a lot. Showed on the field. I mean, I went from week 1 and 2 and 3 to getting about 4 to 5 tackles a game to about almost 10 per game. I mean, it really helped me. Coaches really helped me out with helping me progress, and I appreciated every single second of it.
Hey, good deal, man. Look at you over there making some major plays. That looks good. That looks very good. What also will look good on either one of your resumes, I should say, besides your players' playmaking ability, would be whether you'd be willing to help your team in any aspect or the league. So we have things that you can do, like write articles for the beat writing team, or you can be a broadcaster, you can do stats, you can start your own podcast, maybe a team podcast, or you can kind of contribute in different ways, even maybe helping with the scouting department. Coaches and owners are always looking for people that have the game, have the emulator, and want to be able to help, run sims for them. So would you guys be willing to do any of that for someone or for a team? And we'll start with you first, Tommy.
So really, I've always wanted to broadcast, and actually, once I've always decided that if I do go to college, I want to go in for broadcasting, and I've always wanted to love watching sports. So definitely, sports broadcasting is definitely my thing. But I definitely wouldn't mind starting a podcast, especially a team podcast. Get couple teammates on there, just have some fun, ask a couple questions, just kind of hang out, talk, maybe boost the morale. I mean, stuff like that, man. I've always been interested in it.
Good. And that could actually tie into like social media, like maybe helping out with your social media aspect of the teams, because you definitely need that, So that's good stuff. What about you, JW?
I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I actually had contemplated going back to school to get into broadcasting. I love sports. I love stats. I'm literally the person that would be, everyone else is out partying. I'm over here playing Madden and tracking stats and stuff like that, trying to figure out how things work. And it's just like, it's fun to me. So I enjoyed it a lot. And actually, I did get to help out 1 week with scouting. I ended up having a lot of stuff come up the last 2 weeks, so I couldn't do it as much. But during our week against Madison, I ended up really just kind of sitting down, watching the last few games, try to figure out, what they did offensively. Which, for instance, one of our big things that I noticed, at least tendency-wise, is they ran a lot of short to intermediate out passes. And it was just one of those things where it's like, the more they put this on tape, it's like, okay, I can be like, hey, this is what they do. I even got to a point I made a whole spreadsheet showing like what formation they started in, how many players or what their who the pass was to, how long it took for the pass to get out. I got really into it for a bit there.
Nice.
But funny enough, that game actually, I don't think it was really anything I really added, because our defensive coordinator was just on top of things. But I remember that game we held Madison to like 13 points, and we almost beat them. Well, we almost went to overtime, but being the only team in the SFLm without a contract kicker definitely came to bite us at the end.
Yeah, it can, definitely. That's why most of your major teams are definitely going to be looking for kickers in the draft, and if they don't have one. Because those points matter. Like, some people will be like, okay, well, the touchdowns matter, but when it comes down to it, your teams are tied and you're in field goal range, guess what you need? You need somebody that's going to be on point all the time. And when you don't have it, it's like that 50-50 chance, and it can be heartbreak for some. But
yeah, and as a Seahawks fan, I remember the years of Blair Walsh, but now it's just like we've always said it in the locker room. It's like, you know what? You never realize how good a kicker is until you don't have it when you need it.
Tell me about it. I'm a Bears fan. You remember that doink game? That I don't know how you hit the crossbar 4 times though. You couldn't, even if you aim for the crossbar that many times, you would not. Okay.
I feel you.
You know what? That is why Evan McPherson is my top 5 Bengal of all time, because he makes everything.
It is so true. It is like, I can count on you to do what you're being paid millions of dollars to do, not kick it to the. Okay.
No, I feel you. And McPherson, I remember the whole story that Burrow put out. It's like, well, it looks like we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
yes.
He's warming up on the sidelines. It's actually against the Titans. He's kicking his leg, and he looks at Joe and everyone else. He goes, looks like we're going to the AFC Championship, boys. And I'm telling you, man, those 2 weeks against the Chiefs and the Titans were the most magical weeks of my entire life being a Cincinnati.
I bet.
I have a close friend out that way, and I remember saying, you know what, we're both off. I'm just going to stream the game for you, and the Tennessee game. And he's like, oh no, crud. And I'm just like, no, he might get this. And he broke my headset. He screamed that loud. He was so happy. I'm just like, fair enough, but ow, I think I'm deaf.
Congratulations, but my ears are bleeding.
Right?
If any team deserved it, it was Cincy.
Oh yeah, it's the fact that I went into this year, last year, I was like, all right, we didn't really draft anybody in the OLine department. We didn't really get anybody in free agency. Screw it, let's see what happens. And then in the middle of the season, I looked at everything. I was like, we actually have a chance to make it to the playoffs. What is going on? And that final stretch really was magical. And actually, in the AFC Championship game, I'm talking to my friend who's a big Steelers fan. But he always supports, when Bengals are going far and everything. And I not really support when the Steelers are going far, but and I said, all right, what do you think the score of the game's going to be? And he goes, I think it's going to be 34-24 Chiefs. That team's just too good. And I said, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be 27-24. Bengals win it off of a field goal. I guessed the exact correct score of that game. Oh my god! And he texted me the week of the Super Bowl, and he goes, "What's your guess for this week? You got it right last week." I said 23-20 Bengals, and I got it flipped. It was 23-20 Rams.
Well, hey, you still got the 23-20. Matter of fact, maybe after air, you can give me some pointers on how to get this money, this lottery money, because obviously you got some kind of gift.
I need to buy some tickets. I need to get them.
I'm telling you.
They're with you.
Oh, so that actually brings me to my next question. How do you handle, as an individual, how do you handle adversity and trash talk when it occurs? Both of you played sports, and I'm sure you've been exposed to that. Even maybe here in the SFL, you may have gotten some trash talk. How did y'all handle that?
Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah. So, I'm always level-headed. Like, I always make sure I don't really burst out into, immediate trash talk back. I usually respect a lot of people's games, but it gets me to a certain point where I'm just like, all right, you want to know something? I'll give you a piece of my mind. But usually, when it comes to trash talk, I love to prove people wrong, and that's really what I did back when I played football. I had this one guy who was a defensive tackle. I played D end, and this guy was just talking trash to me the entire game. He was locking me up pretty good, I will admit. But I remember that I did one little sidestep move that made him fall over a little bit, and I was just like, you know what? Don't care what happened, whatever this game, that will always make me happy. Always just gotta keep a level head. They'll get to you, but at the end of the day, you are at the end of the day that you've always just gotta make sure that you don't react. That's the main thing. They can push you, they can punch you, but if you react, you're the one at fault.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just like when your little brother hits you, and then when you go to hit him back, then mom only catches you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been there.
I've been there.
Been done.
JW, what about you?
I mean, for me, I was never the biggest trash talker, but I was one of those people that's like, all right, you're gonna trash talk me? Well, then I'll just have to beat you over the head with kindness. So I would be the person that, like, after a play, I would try to help, the other person up, be like, all right, hey, good play, everything like that. And then, like, after, like, once I got to the hill, I'm like, okay, I got him, but I'm gonna try to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's kind of translated over to this point as well. It's like, just like, even when we're playing a game and it's like we're cheering on our guys, we're still like, you know what, hey, that was a good catch. And
Yeah.
we'd just be like, even if we're on opposite teams, we're still rooting each other on because we all want to see each other succeed.
Sure.
And that's good. That's a good thing. Some people probably have issues with that. Oh my gosh, why, it's about different personalities and how everyone handles things differently. The people internalize things differently. So neither one is wrong. As long as you're not being disrespectful or rude, then, hey, I'm all good. I'm all good with it.
I think best way to put it throughout this season, I mean, big one I remember was the week we got blown out by the Adams Albuquerque. It was like a 34-0 game, and it was just like, I'm over here, like, everyone's like, you would think everyone was like really down in the dumps, but we were all just like, hey, we're gonna do something here on this next play, we're gonna do something here. And it was just like, it was all just everyone just cheering each other on. It was never a, hey, you guys suck. You're down this much. What are you doing? It's like, no. It's like, hey, you're gonna get it next play.
That's good stuff.
That's helped a lot with loving this league.
Oh yeah, I can't remember the name of the team off the top of my head. But I remember their running back was just pounding us on the ground, and there was at one point where I stood him up, and I stood him up like a brick wall at the line of scrimmage. And I picked him up, and he goes, "Good hit, big fella," and I was like, you know what? I'll take that. You've been beating us up in the game. I'll take that no matter what.
There you go. It is about your perspective and realizing that ultimately it's just a game. It's a competitive. When you're a competitor, you want to win. I get that. But then, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, what are you really getting upset about? What are you really mad about? So, team success or player success? Which one is more important in your opinion?
For me, team success. I've actually been having this conversation a lot recently, just with some friends. Like, if we're playing, I'd rather have a game where it's like, I might make a tackle or two, but we got the win over a game. If I got 3 interceptions, but we still lost, it wouldn't feel right. Because I know everyone else in that team is working their butt off. I'm not worried about how good I look. I'm worried about how my team's doing, how our spirits are, and how, just making sure that even if we do lose, we go into the next game like, we're going to win this. We're going to get this going, and we're going to just do our best.
Okay. And Tommy?
I will have to agree with JW here. In my opinion, when it comes down to it, I feel like it comes down to team success. I've always thought the same thing throughout my entire time playing football and being in the SFL. There's been points and times when I played in football when I was a guard. I may have pancaked about 3 people. But if we lost, that didn't matter. Like, in one of the games that we had, I had, I think, 12 tackles, yet we lost. And that did not matter to me. We lost. Just because I had 12 tackles doesn't mean squat diddly to me, because we lost that game. I need to figure out what I can do better to help this team, and just kind of figure out what we can do from on there.
Yeah, it's kind of that feeling of like, like you can still be proud of what you did on the field, but it's like a loss just never feels like it's like you did everything you could do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always asking yourself, well, all right, what can I do better? What can I improve? How can I help us move forward, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff, gentlemen. 2 more questions, one of which is kind of stemming from that. What are your expectations from the locker room or from the team that will draft you? What do you want the locker room to be like? How do you want the front office to treat you as a player and as the person behind the player? Because that's important too.
Well, really, for me, as long as front office, and this is the biggest thing in my opinion, if the front office can look at me and just say, hey, we can make sure that we can believe in you wholeheartedly. As long as they believe in me and give me the time and effort, I will give my time and effort and give every single bit I can, make a team, make the team best, help the team best I can. And the person, when you said about the whole thing about the person behind the player, I feel like that matters a lot to me. Now, if the player's good, but the person necessarily is a jerk, I don't care if you're good or not. I ain't gonna be friends with you. Why should I like you if you're gonna be mean to me and mean to my teammates? Yet you might be the best player on our team. And that goes the same thing with the organization. I might be on the best team ever, but if the organization is dogging on me and just flat out being jerks, I don't want to be on that team.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I feel that in a way. I know that like in this league, there's always gonna be rivalries. There's always gonna be smack talk and stuff like that. But I think the big thing for me is with a team. If I go into it, I'm gonna be entirely fair. I know a lot of people will think, well, you're gonna come in and you're gonna be a star right away. It's like I know for a fact that a lot of us rookies are gonna kind of be depth for the first couple years, and so that's fine with me. As long as I can, try to help the team in any way I know, be it just raising morale, if they need me on special teams or something, that never bugs me. My goal with the team really is just to build a place we can all just have fun. Like I want us to look back, after everything and just be like, hey, you know what? These were great memories. These were some great people, and this was a good time of my life. Because I know a lot of people, like, there are times where it's like, just like you go through stuff and you're just like, it didn't really mean much to me, kind of stuff. So, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. I think these are important questions for, teams to hear, and even for your fellow teammates to hear, because they're going to kind of dictate what kind of person you are. Speaking of which, what kind of personality will you be bringing in someone's locker room if you should be drafted?
You want to grab this, Tommy?
Oh. Yeah, I'll grab it. Go ahead.
Heck
So
yeah.
basically, the personality I will bring to the locker room if I get drafted. I'm not going to say when, because you never know what's going to happen. But if I get drafted, I know that I'm going to bring in I'm a team player. I love hyping up my teammates. I love giving everybody confidence. The main thing I want to do is make sure that everybody feels like they can come to me and talk to me. I want to make people know that if we're part of a team, we're two people in the same trench. It doesn't matter if you're on offense. It doesn't matter if you're on defense. If you're on special teams. We're in the same trench together. You'll always have me, and I'll always support, no matter what.
Good deal. JW, what about you?
For me, it's very much the same way. No matter what the score is, no matter what our record is, I've got my team's back. What's a good way to put it? A team's like family. Sometimes you butt heads, sometimes you argue, sure, but at the end of the day, we're here to have fun, we're here to try our best, and we want to see the best out of each other. And if there's any way I can help, inspire people or just kind of get them motivated, then that's really kind of what I want to do. If it means, if I ever have to switch a position to make sure there's a chance for somebody else to get, like, I had this situation earlier in the year that we had so many DBs, and I was worried that some of the guys on the team weren't getting a chance to put their names out there, so I looked into possibly switching to OLine, and ended up being a situation where if I did, I had to switch to another team, most likely. And it was like, I want to do this, I want to switch this position, but I'm not going to give up on my guys. I'm going to be there through the whole run. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I go into a team, I'm dedicated, I work my butt off, and I try to make sure that everyone knows that through thick and thin, they got someone on their side.
Okay. Because that actually kind of what you were saying kind of led me to another question. I had a whole different question. I still will ask it, but if a team drafts you, but they want to utilize your player in another aspect of the team, would you be willing to do that, or are you stuck with well, I kind of know your answer already, JW, but you can further elaborate on it if you like. Would you be willing to switch to help the team?
Yeah, for me, yeah, I was willing to switch over to offensive line because I knew one of our biggest problems was Gene wasn't given
Being
enough
protected.
time. It's like he's a hell of a quarterback, and he didn't get a chance to really showcase it as much, not because our coaching, but just because our offensive line didn't give him enough time. So I wanted to have a chance to do that. And I mean, if it comes down to it, if they need me at safety, linebacker, punter, I mean,
Hey.
I got a mean kick.
I know that's right. You better sell it. Just make sure it goes upright. And you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, if I'm punting, I want to make sure it's on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, one line.
Sideline.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you don't want to score it. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Hey, but that might be a dual thing. You might be. I don't know if you can do that. Actually, never mind. I don't
cool
think
if
you
you
can
could.
be a right. I don't think you can be punter and kicker at the same time. I don't think so. Tommy?
I would definitely be okay with it.
Okay.
As long I would definitely be okay with it as long as I'm given, time beforehand. I would definitely love if it meant, having more opportunity for people and also helping the team. I wouldn't mind moving to D line or maybe offensive line, fullback, wherever they really need me. I can do it. I'm willing to switch.
Okay, that's good to know because that might happen. Quick little story that when I was brought into the league, I was actually a wide receiver. I played my first game as a wide receiver, scored a touchdown, team won, everything. I was even the player of the game and all of that. But when I got drafted, I was drafted as a quarterback. So you never know how things are going to work out. So, last question for you, gentlemen, because I first of all, I would definitely want to have you back on again, whenever you can, just to kind of go through like the draft. What was your thoughts, how you feel, and all of that good stuff. But perfect pizza. What are the toppings of a perfect pizza in your opinion? Apparently, there was a heated discussion about this in general chat today.
Oh dear. I read some of that, like the Chicago pizza.
Yes.
For me, cheese, pepperoni, black olives, mushrooms. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
I blame my grandfather.
I respect the mushrooms. Never tried black olives. I
Really?
think I might need to. Never tried black olives on pizza. For me,
Delicious.
I love a meatloaf. So I love pepperoni, bacon, ham. I mean, I've had meatballs on pizza, and those are
Okay. Can I change my answer?
balls on.
Yes. Yes. Hey, this is your perfect pizza. You can have whatever you want on it. Like for me, it'd be like a Greek salad, kind of minus the lettuce, on a pizza. And I would add maybe some turkey pepperoni, some meatballs. And then you have the pepperoncini peppers. You have the black olives, the red onions, all of that good stuff. And probably
You're making me hungry.
Oh, I was curious. I was just curious. I was wondering if y'all were going to say pineapple or something, because some people.
I mean,
I've tried it once, and I never liked it. Never did.
see, I'm probably weird in that I don't hate it, but I don't dislike it. It's just like, it's pizza.
Right.
What are we? It's food. Give me food. Now, to be fair, the meat lovers did bring up. I forgot one vital topping, and that is Italian sausage. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good Italian sausage is very good. Like the seasonings already in. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. I'm wondering how many people are going to agree with us. So they're going to be like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. So I'm sure put down what you like in the chat. I'll be reading to see what y'all like, and then we'll judge y'all like you judging us.
Yeah, and I know Gino is going to be over here like, what kind of pizza is that?
Oh,
I'll probably
man.
have me though. I mean, a lot of people like meat lovers. So who
Yeah.
knows?
I mean, you got every meat that's there. It's a nice filling one, you know. But somebody mentioned Chicago deep dish. That is fantastic. I mean, I like all the pizzas. I mean, I like it sometimes. It just depends on my mood. Sometimes you want something thick and hearty, like
Oh, yeah.
the Chicago, or sometimes you just want something nice and light and quick, like your New York style pizza, like the thin cracker crust pizzas, stuff like that. So it just depends on the mood for me, but. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show. Now, before I let you go, did y'all have any questions for me?
Not top of my mind. I don't got any questions. What about you, JW?
You know what? I have one for actually both of you.
Okay.
In the time that both of you, I mean, I know it's differing time spans, of course.
Yeah.
But what would you say is your favorite thing you've experienced with the SFL?
For me, it would have to be the community. The community
Heck
is
yeah.
what keeps me here. The community is what has given me the Community Ambassador Award 6 times since I've been here. The community is someone that has helped in more ways than one my family when we were going through some hard times, whether it was some difficult times with me moving here to Arizona, or whether it was from me losing my father. This community has been instrumental in the past few years in helping me cope with real life situations and helping me through things. So definitely these guys.
You know what? I'm gonna have to agree with that for sure. I mean, even when I first joined in, and when I first got slapped into that Ottawa locker room, it was immediate. Welcome in. I hope you're excited for the new year. I hope you're excited for the season. Immediate welcoming. I mean, first person to text me welcome was the Lake Man. Texted me immediately. He texted immediately in the locker room. He goes, "Welcome to the team. I hope that you don't regret this decision." Blah blah blah. Obviously joking with, but it was just a great welcome experience, and I loved it. The community so far has been really nice. Especially you'd be surprised because I thought when I first typed in the sports chat, I'm like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen.
Oh, dear.
And I looked, I'm like, what? A lot of people are pretty respectful in this. I'm liking this.
Oh yeah, no, I am on board with you guys with the community. I mean, lately it's just been me and CC giving each other a little bit here and there in the sports chat, but ever since I came into the SFL, just the minor chat has been always everyone cheering each other on, giving each other their flowers, which is nice. And then even in the normal area, it's fun to just hang out, talk, and occasionally when everyone else is asleep, me and Brad just cause absolute chaos.
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it. Awesome, man. Awesome, y'all. Well, like I said, it was a pleasure meeting both of you, and I wish you the best of luck in your careers. On draft day, hope to hear your names, called. If not, head back over to the SFLm and continue to build your characters, and continue to be great. But I cannot let you guys go without giving you the last word. So you can either sing a song, JW, since you're a singer. You can sing a song, or you can recite a poem, or you can just give a simple shout out. But right now, Tommy, the floor is yours.
I wanted to say I appreciate the opportunity that you gave me coming on to this show. I really appreciate it. And really, the biggest shout out I got right now is, I know he probably ain't watching because, big NFL guy, but I gotta say that, in my opinion, the most underrated player in the defensive side of the NFL, I'm going to shout out Sam Hubbard. He's just a big man. He's great. I mean, he's really motivated me. I've really appreciated it. Got a really tough final stretch here for the Bengals. Hooday.
Hooday indeed. All right. And JW.
Sam Hubbard. That's actually a really good one there. Dude doesn't get enough credit. I mean, I'm definitely not going to sing. Well, I will say, this was actually a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on. I was admittedly really nervous because I'm not much of a talky person, but this was a lot of fun, and I'd love to do this again.
Hey.
And for my shout out, I'm gonna sorry, my thing just glitched there. For my shout out, I'm gonna shout out, everyone on Annapolis, especially our coach Jay. Him and Ibrahim, our defensive coordinator. Those two, I have talked with them so much recently, like the last few weeks, and it has been enlightening just to see all the stuff that goes into this, and it just makes me want to get more and more into it.
Awesome. Jay is a good dude. They both are. And I think y'all are in good hands. And I think you've been coached well. And again, I wish you the best of luck in your careers. And if you ever need me, I'm here. Okay? All
Absolutely.
right. Have a good night, fellas.
You as well. Stay safe.
You too.
You as well.
What is up, SFL Nation? We are back with my second and final, fourth and goal interview for the evening. I have here with me a good friend of mine that I haven't had on the show in a while. His name is Mr. Ceasar Akermann. He is the new tight end for the Baltimore Vultures. Ceasar, what's going on, man?
My day's going all right not for the most part. It's going all right in general.
Hey. That's a good thing. Anytime you wake up on this side and you're breathing, that's a good day. Okay.
That is very true.
Good to have you back. I know it's been a while and I'm sorry we haven't connected,
No, don't worry about it. I understand. A lot of people coming in, doing their own thing, trying to make their own name here in the SFL. I get that.
Yeah. But you're a good, you're a good friend of mine. So I just wanted to kind of check up on you, making sure everything is all right. And you had some major changes happen in your career for the SFL.
Multiple, actually.
Right, it's your last one. But for those that didn't get a chance to see your first interview with me, which was a while ago, let's just reintroduce yourself to everyone. What is if you don't mind telling, what is
I don't mind.
What's
All
your
right,
age,
so,
your hometown interesting fact, and your favorite NFL team?
All right. So, of course, my actual first name, I'll only say my first name. My real first name is Andre. I would say it's a common name, but whenever you go to normal truck stop and you look at the different types of souvenirs that there are, you always get the Andreas or the Andrews instead of the Andres.
Funny, I never noticed.
I am currently 25, but I will be 26 at the end of the month. My birthday is on December 30th, which is maybe the worst time to have a birthday possibly ever.
Oh, because it's the...
Yes, 5 days after Christmas. It's 2 days before New Year's. Everybody's focused on one of those two things, and my birthday is just right there, snap dab in the middle of it all.
What you should do is you should tell people that you need a gift every day. So from from Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, all leading up to your birthday, that's how you do that.
Now, if I can get people to actually believe that and actually attempt to do that, that'd be great. But yeah, it's definitely a very difficult time to have a birthday. As for other types of information, I do live in Alabama, relatively deep south. Roll Tide.
Okay.
I know a lot of people will probably be on me for that, but Roll Tide regardless. But yeah, that's my favorite college team. My favorite NFL team, Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
I understand that people don't necessarily look at the Falcons in the best of light because of a specific Super Bowl loss. But regardless, I'm still stuck with that team as a fan because if you're a Falcons fan, you may want to not be a Falcons fan at the end of a couple games, but you always come back. You always come back.
Yeah. Indeed.
It's just a team you want to root for. You want to see them go all the way and win it all finally. And then you're just constantly sometimes disappointed when they don't.
Oh my God. Like the first game of the season. Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to even go there. Not gonna even go there.
You're a Falcons fan as well, right?
Yes, I am. And they
okay.
pissed me off. You were winning. And you just... Okay, you know what? Look, y'all can have that. What? To your rivals too? Okay, like I said. And what's the interesting fact about yourself that not many people may know?
Interesting fact about myself. I would say a relatively interesting fact about myself is that I've lived in quite a bit of places. Not only that, but my family's a tiny bit weird. My father was a North Carolina guy. My mother is from where we currently live.
Okay.
However, I was born in Bad Kreuznach, Germany. My family was relatively military, so we've gone multiple places over my whole entire life. And I grew up mostly when it pertained to my developing years as a teen when I was around 14, growing up. Those next couple years, I lived in Washington State. So I may come off as if I have a more Seattle type accent or frame of speech, if I may say, despite the fact that I'm living in the Deep South and a lot of my family's from the Deep South. And if you were to talk to any of my other family, they don't talk like I do. So the interesting fact about me is the voice that I have, despite the fact where I live.
You know, I actually can agree with you on that. I grew up, well, you know about Georgia. So I grew up in Decatur. I grew up in East Point, College Park. And, a lot of them, a lot of my people use slang, or they talk with their words drawn long. I just, the only thing I say like that is that y'all during my introduction. But yeah, I'm kind of like that too. I guess it's just the people that you hang around or, the places that you've been that kind of inspire you, and you just take a little bit from everything. Now, it's interesting that you said that you were in the middle, like you were kind of like you're traveling with your family with the military. So you've lived in a few different places. Where was your favorite place to live and why?
That's a good question. I would say my favorite place to live was most likely Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay.
Because honestly, Fort Benning was probably the biggest military base that I lived in. It was relatively nice. The house I used to live in was spacious. The neighborhood that I lived in was full of actually a lot of good people. Had friends there, friends that obviously when you're in military, you move after a couple years, so you sometimes lose contact with those friends, which has happened multiple times. But either way, I still remember my time living Fort Benning as a young child very fondly. I definitely remember the time I actually went to school there, was doing relatively well. So yeah, I would say Fort Benning. Second favorite maybe would have to go to, I would probably say living here, because there was a brief time where my father went overseas, the Middle East and everything like that. So had to come back here to basically live alongside my grandmother and everything like that. And so I went to school here for when I was in, I think, 6th, 7th grade. Yeah, basically those two things. And I definitely prefer being here rather than a lot of other places.
Okay. Got it. Good stuff. I like to ask people that, especially when I find out they travel in the military? Because you'll be amazed at the different answers that you receive. But
Interesting little thing. Despite the fact that I was born in Germany, I have no memory of actually being anywhere else but the United States of America. I've never actually been outside of the country, well, from my own perspective.
Okay.
So I wish someday to maybe go travel other places, see the world in some way, shape, or form. I actually kind of want to go to the place, like the city I was born in. I kind of want to go there someday. Maybe.
Definitely. I hear Germany is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I hear that too.
Right. So hopefully you get a chance to go and then you can share the experience with us,
Maybe. Awesome. that could be on a interview a few years down the line. Who knows?
Exactly. Now, since you like to travel, it kind of rolled over into your SFL career as well. So,
yeah, that's very true.
So tell us about your SFL career and the travels that you had here, and what landed you finally in Baltimore.
All right. So at the very beginning of it all, was a river runner in the SFLm, and I liked being a river runner. It was a fun experience being there for 2 seasons, practically an entire year. That was a fun experience to have. Obviously, I knew I wasn't going to go in the first draft because I was only there for a tiny bit. Didn't really make a splash at all until the second SFLm season. Then, when it got to the second SFLm season, I actually did relatively well. Was a tight end that a lot of people saw, and I heard that there was a lot of people who had me on their draft boards around that time. However, things didn't go the way I believed it would, and I eventually did fall to Sioux Falls, which Sioux Falls, the Sparrows, they were a team that I personally really like. I like what they were doing there. I like the culture that it had. I definitely like being there. However, after that season, I felt like I wanted to go somewhere else. I wanted to go somewhere that I felt like I would fit in. Like, there's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as the perfect place to be. There are always going to be, like, flaws or downsides to being in certain places and everything like that. But I wanted to go somewhere that felt more like a place where I could do what I wanted to do in the SFL. So I left Sioux Falls and I went to Jacksonville. Jacksonville, ironically, is a big rival to the same team that my friends and Adrian Blaine and Stephen Black was in Florida Storm, rivals of that team. And it was definitely fun in that particular game last season, facing off against them, even if we did lose. But it was fun doing that, and it was fun actually, being a more active tight end on the Jacksonville Kings, because Jacksonville saw a lot in me. It was the place where I progressed a lot. If you actually go back and see a lot of what I was doing in Sioux Falls, and of course, I'm not saying anything bad about Sioux Falls. I like being there. If you look at what I was doing in Sioux Falls, I wasn't necessarily doing that much of anything in Sioux Falls with the Sparrows. Then, as soon as I step in Jacksonville, I slowly but surely became a very big name over there. And actually getting towards the end of the season, you see a lot of these people retiring or going elsewhere. The team basically was starting to seem like it was going to go through a somewhat of a rebuild. That's my perspective anyway. And I was basically on the road of saying that, all right, I'm going to stay in Jacksonville. I'm going to be part of the rebuild. I'm going to be this big name tight end, at least from my perspective. And I was going to basically stay until we rebuild and become this huge team that's Jacksonville was hopefully destined to be. However, I thought about it for a while. And also I got a few people contacting me and everything like that from various different teams, including Baltimore. And somewhere before the trades began, free agency opened, I decided that it was time for me to go somewhere else. It was time for me to see, okay, maybe I can go jump somewhere else and see if I can just go a bit higher, a level higher than where I was. You know, become an even bigger name potentially. Like, I'm not somebody who have a huge ego. If you look at my other interview, it may seem that way, but I'm not somebody who has a big ego here. I like the idea of people actually knowing who I am, and that's prominent to me. I don't want people to basically be like, this guy, Ceasar Akermann, or using my real name, or Andre, this guy wanting to constantly be in the lights, in the stars and everything like that, wanting to be like the biggest name around here and everything like that. No, I don't want that. I just want people to know who I am. Which is one of the big reasons why I chose Baltimore. Now, it's not the only reason. It's one reason. It's not even the biggest reason. Biggest reason why I came to Baltimore is because I completely understand that the last person who was in Baltimore for tight end 1, he made a name for himself here. Not only that, but he was able to progress and become a big name tight end here. When he left and went to a different team, I can't think of it off the top of my head, there was waves. There was people questioning the move and everything like that. People actually was focused on this guy, knew who he was, understood what he brings to a team. I kind of want the same thing for myself in a way. I want people to actually see me, understand what I can bring to a team, and hopefully, maybe I can be one of those people that at the very end of the year, when they do the All-Star game, I be tight end 1 for that.
Okay. So, if I'm hearing you correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you want to be able to progress in such a way that will help your player, to be the best that it can be. And the movement was in search of that. It wasn't anything like the locker rooms were bad or anything like that. It was just...
No, it was not about locker rooms being bad. I just wanted more out of myself, in a way.
Got it. And so what do you think Baltimore will be able to do? Well, or how do you think that Baltimore will help you in this quest that you're on?
I personally feel that Baltimore is the type of place where I can come in and they will be dedicated to making sure that I'm on level of being similar to the last tight end they had. Even potentially have a much more fitting scheme.
Okay.
Hopefully. Because you look at the last tight end, that guy is good.
Lloyd
that guy
Graham Jr.?
is so good.
Yes. Yes, he is. He really is.
And I definitely want to be someone like that. But make my own individual spin on it.
So, do you work closely with the GMs and coaches when you're progressing? Or is it something that you just want to do on your own?
I do work with them. There are times where I do bring up possible questions about whether I could do something like this or something like that. And I would have conversations with my GMs and everything like that, come to a somewhat compromise, or if either I or them have the better perspective when it pertains to what is best for my tight end, then it'll be one of those opinions, whether it be mine or theirs. I'm not somebody who likes to basically just force my opinion onto the GMs and say, I want to do this, I'm going to do this, that's what I'm doing. I want to work with the team. After all, it's a team effort. There is no, trying to be an individual in a team environment. I know that's just a more constructed way of saying there's no I in team, but it sounds better, so I'm going with that one.
Gotcha. Which leads me to my next question to you. What is more important to you? Team first or player first?
Team first. At the end of the day, it's going to be team first. I want to make sure that the team is able to get to places, and I want to be able to help along that lines. Now, I say team first, but I will always be somewhat second when it pertains to that. I definitely want to, like I said early on, I want people to know who I am. And if the way to that is also helping the team, then I will try to help the team first. So that's my mentality on that.
And, I believe in a way, everybody is like that. I mean, you paying subscription fees, you are paying with your time and your energy and your effort into making sure that coaches have what they need when you progress. Coaches have what they need to be able to put you in a place to be successful. So you definitely want to hear your name called. You definitely want to get those touchdowns and those deep plays, like perhaps you're seeing other tight ends like Mike Dax, for instance. He's a Hall of Famer, and for good reason, So I understand. I understand both sides of it, but that's going to be a new question that I'm going to be posing to all the players, and I should say this. I'm not talking to you specifically because you answered the question and you answered it honestly. But for anybody else that I ask this question to, if it is player first, then say that. And as long as you give a reason why, people can understand, because this is your experience. This is your SFL experience. You were paying to have this. And if this is something that you want, or this is your mentality, then that's what it is, So I figure I just throw that out there. So in the locker rooms first, because for instance, Sioux Falls, I would say, are the quietest in respect of like general chats. I do see activity in game day chat, Jacksonville a little bit more. Baltimore, I think out of the three would probably be the most active. But in your opinion, who do you think is the most active? Now, I don't know if you can actually give Baltimore a fair shake because you just joined them. So I guess between Sioux Falls and Jacksonville in the locker room, who is most active?
I would have to say Jacksonville. Okay. Jacksonville is probably the most active. Not only that, but Jacksonville makes it a point of it being an active community of people who are all trying to shoot for bigger and better things. Yes, whenever we do have losses, we basically do go into the mode of, all right, we failed here, but we can improve on that and we can do better in the upcoming games and everything like that. During games, whenever somebody does something good, it doesn't matter who, whenever somebody does something good, they always at the guy or at the whoever it is, and they say how good of a job they did, like nice catch, nice touchdown, everything like that. Everybody, of course, echoes that sentiment and everything like that, and it's every game they do that. And it was one of the things that I liked about Jacksonville. It was something that I hope to see a lot of here in Baltimore, but I'm sure that the people here in Baltimore are going to be in the Twitch chats or the YouTube chats, and we're going to be rooting for our team. We're going to be constantly pushing by, the game day stuff.
Absolutely.
All these messages and everything. Rah, rah, let's go. I couldn't word it correctly, but there you go.
We get it. Trust me. Have you, since you've been here, have you gotten involved in the league in any other aspect besides being a player? Like, have you been able to experience the beat writing team or taking stats, or do you have a plan to do so?
Okay, so in Sioux Falls and Jacksonville, I was the guy who made the banners, the game day banners.
Okay.
I would make these banners about a few days or even sometimes the day of the game, where I would put everything together, I would get it all formatted, and I would send it to the social media team so it's posted onto the Jacksonville or Sioux Falls Twitter page and everything like that. If you go look at Sioux Falls and Jacksonville's pages over the last 2 seasons, 2 seasons ago, it was on Sioux Falls Twitter page. You can see a lot of the stuff I made for that. With Sioux Falls, I went with a more comic book-esque banners, which I try to make, a lot unique and try to make it stand out from a lot of the other teams and everything like that. I'm not saying I succeeded at that, but I did the best I could when it pertains to the whole comic book scheme. When I flipped over to Jacksonville, I went with a more streamlined scheme of nice and simple, but still individually different from a lot of our teams still.
Okay.
I don't believe I'll be doing the same thing here in Baltimore, because if you've seen Baltimore's game day banners, they are a step above a lot of other teams. So I don't think I'll be taking the job away from that person anytime soon. However, I'm sure that if I put my hat into it, I could probably be somebody who probably helps with that stuff, or maybe be a part of the social media team in some way, shape, or form. Maybe I will look into it.
I think I know who does the graphics over there, and I don't know for sure, didn't talk to him yet, but I believe that they would be more than happy to help you hone in on your skills, because to be a director of communications or to run the social media aspect of a team, it is very important, because you are not only promoting the league, you're promoting your team's brand. And so anytime that you can do that in a fashion to where you're drawing people's attention, whether it's that classy, refined, or whether it is the comic book kind of creative side, or if it's something totally different, I think that you are in the right place to be able to get what you need. If you notice, I don't know if you've seen my show in a while, but my opening, not the eminence, but the countdown, and the part that comes right after that was done by someone on your team. So I know the capabilities of that person, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to take you under their wing to be able to help you in that regard too. So I'm excited to see what y'all gonna do over there.
I'm excited to see what may happen, because I've been trying to improve when it pertains to graphics for years now. Definitely helping, not even just football, been making graphics in a bunch of other places, including places that I may not be in anymore, but I still somewhat. Yeah. But either way, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Awesome. Couple more questions for you. Actually, about 3 more. So describe one, I'm sure you've had plenty, but describe one of your favorite moments of the SFL, whether it's off the field, whether it's on the field, whether it's something that happened directly to you, something that happened directly to something or to someone else. Describe a great moment for you.
One of the favorite moments, which was of this last season, was actually my first touchdown. So I wasn't able to get my first touchdown in Sioux Falls, which was a little sad. An entire season, and I wasn't able to secure a touchdown. The team did relatively well. We made it to the playoffs and everything like that. And I was relatively glad that we were able to make it to the playoffs. Was a pretty good tight end that didn't really make much noise, but I was a defender that made sure that the running game with GP Wells. I do not know where GP is right now, but I was glad to be on the same team as them, even all the way back from the River Runners. And being basically a defender for both the running back and the quarterback, made it to the playoffs and everything like that, but wasn't able to get that first touchdown. I make it to Jacksonville, and I think it's like the second or third game. And I was actually able to score a touchdown, and it came completely out of nowhere for me. And for a second, I had to think, was this my first touchdown? I'm pretty sure I got a touchdown in Sioux Falls. No, I did not. This is my first touchdown, which was weird, but also exciting at the exact same time because it meant progress. It meant that, okay, I'm actually getting somewhere. If I'm able to grab my first touchdown here, that's first of many. And I can go a lot of places from here. So it was a moment that gave me a little bit of hope that maybe I can do much more here than simply be a tight end that basically, doesn't necessarily talk a lot.
Gotcha. Okay. So name a worst moment for you.
Worst moments. There was a game last season where it seemed like we were going to pretty much lose. Jacksonville was in a bad state. However, we made a very good comeback towards the very end of the game and went into overtime. There was the kickoff. The opposing team got the ball and returned it for a kickoff touchdown. First play of overtime.
It happens. It happens, man. It happens. It's all about how you, bounce back from it, man. But I totally understand. We've had our share. So, but I think GP, to answer your question, I want to say he's over there in Houston.
I haven't actually been keeping up on him, but I definitely will be seeing what GP Wells does because I still consider him to be, a friend of mine from all the way back in River Runners. So GP, get it done over there in Houston. If you hear this anyway,
right. Look, I hope I got it right. We go find out. But so the SFL community. Describe the SFL community for anyone that is interested in joining us.
I want to be frank. The SFL community is definitely a place where you have a whole bunch of people. It's an entire melting pot, similar to the United States, where you're going to get a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of different perspectives on the way how things should be and the way that things are. There's a lot of people that you're going to have as friends, people who are going to be rivals of yours. People who basically prefers have a team first mentality or a player first mentality, and both of those are completely fine. So when you do come to the SFL, you will find your niche. You will find a place that you belong with, and even then, when you do find that place where you belong, you will understand that not every place is perfect, but even still, you have to just accept where you land unconditionally in some ways. At least that's my perspective on it.
Okay. Gotcha. Fun question for you. The perfect pizza has what on it?
Pepperoni.
Okay. Anything else?
Bacon.
All the toppings that you can think of.
Pepperoni and bacon is a good one because you can put a whole bunch of other stuff on there. But if it has pepperoni and it has bacon, you're good.
Okay. Nice. There was a discussion.
I mean, unless you're somebody who's vegetarian, then I can completely understand. In that regard, then I would probably say, actually, I don't have a good perspective on what a vegetarian pizza would be. So. Yeah.
I do. I'm telling you. There was this woman that works with me, and her husband make like pizza every Friday. Like they're Italian, so they make the sauce homemade, they make the dough, they make all of that, and they shared it with us. Now, the first one that they had a bunch of meat on it, and I don't eat certain meats. So they had a bunch of that on it, which is, it's fun. What do you think? But they had a vegetable one that was very simple. It was First of all, made with like this garlic butter Alfredo sauce, which is different. Awesome.
Ah.
It had broccoli and it had caramelized onions on it. Caesar, when I tell you that was one of the best simple pizzas I've ever had in my life, delicious.
That sounds pretty good. Was it cauliflower crust by any chance?
No, this was real crust, but I've had cauliflower crust before.
Ah, okay. It tastes the same. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference, but it's barely noticeable.
Yeah. I've also had, what was it called? It's another kind of crust that's like gluten-free or something like that. I worked at a place called True Foods, which like specialized in holistic foods, and if they had meat, it was going to be like grass-fed, no hormones, all of that, right?
Ah, okay.
So they had one of my favorite things they had was like this baked spaghetti, right? But it wasn't spaghetti. It was actually butternut squash that they seeded.
They just stringed out. They just stringed it out.
And oh my gosh! And then they put the homemade marinara sauce on it, like some mozzarella cheese. They didn't, like I said, they didn't do too many meats, so it was just basically chicken and beef. But oh my gosh, vegetarian's dream, delicious. And then they baked it so it was nice and golden. And then when you scooped up the butternut squash, it had all the cheese, and it was like the cheese pull. And I was like, oh, love it. So, but that's one of the things I like to kind of ask people just to see what their thoughts and opinions are about just food, because everybody eats things differently. Like Cam and I had a discussion on ice cream, and I told him I love vanilla, and he tells me I don't know what I'm talking about, and I said, listen, everybody likes what they like. I like vanilla bean, homemade vanilla. Well, actually, they're all different. I'm like, no, they're not. It's vanilla. So that was a whole thing. So I decided.
Which, by the way, favorite is mint chocolate chip, and it's not something a lot of people like. A lot of people like look at mint chocolate chip and be like, so you must like the flavor of toothpaste. No.
My daughter loves mint chocolate chip. Actually, yes. And so, I mean, it's pretty good, but it's almost like eating like a York peppermint patty or a Andre's or Andre's chocolate mint candy, but it's just with cream and it's cold, so that's not bad. But vanilla is always going to be my favorite. I don't care what Cam says, but
I completely understand that. I am fine with vanilla every now and then.
Yeah. I got you. So, man, what are you most looking forward to? And this is actually going to be the very last question. I know I'd asked you like about 3 or 4 since I told you I was going to be like 2, but so what are you looking forward to the most this season?
What am I looking forward to most this season? I would probably say the thing I'm absolutely looking forward to this season is, well, I'm looking forward to exactly what my locker room is going to be like once everything actually starts. Because, again, I just got here. I want to see how this community here in Baltimore is. Because this is the team that has won back-to-back titles. I want to see how this community is. Because just walking through the door, it feels different from the other 2 teams I've been on. There's an entire, like, the way how they do things, which I'm not going to actually be open about that because they probably don't want me to be. It definitely is different from anywhere else I've been up to this point. And if it's like that at the very start, I want to see where it is when the season starts. The first game, I am so excited for the first game. I want to see what happens. I want to see how this entire season unravels. So what I'm excited for this season is the season itself. That's what I'm excited about.
Good stuff, Caesar. Good stuff, man. Before I let you go, do you have any questions for me?
Not necessarily. However, I do want to just give a little bit of a shout out to a lot of people that are on Baltimore. Not only that, but a lot of people who are still over in Jacksonville Kings. I'm not there anymore, and I apologize, but I know that you guys are going to do better soon enough. You guys are going to slowly but surely build that team back up, and you guys will make it at some point, I'm sure of it. Sioux Falls, I haven't been on that team in 2 seasons. I'm still looking over towards you guys. I'm seeing a lot of stuff, and one of them actually contacted me before I actually went over to Baltimore. They almost wanted me back, but things didn't pan out with that one. But I'm still looking over towards you, Sioux Falls. I am hoping to see you guys make it to the playoffs as well. Hopefully. Again, GP Wells, I'm hoping that you do relatively well with your team. To Adrian Blaine and Stephen Black over in Florida Storm, especially Doyle, you too. I definitely want to see what you guys do. Y'all been chasing the title for years, year after year. Y'all been chasing it. I want to see you guys actually get relatively close this time. However, I would apologize if you get all the way and then we're at the championship game in front of you guys. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, then. You ain't got to worry about that because it's going to be us. So. Hey, man. But Ceasar, thank you for coming back to the show. Thank you for, gracing us with your presence. We really appreciate it, man. And thank you for sharing, a little bit about you and your personality and, your SFL adventures. And I'm looking forward to having you. Please don't be a stranger. You don't have to wait 3 seasons to come back.
I won't. I probably will be checking in sometime around the middle of the season, or heck, maybe if and when we get into the playoff hunt and everything like that. Okay. So I definitely will be checking in at a later point this season. Don't worry about it. So to everybody else, you'll be hearing from me sometime in 2023. So
okay,
I bid you all adieu. Thank you for having me on here.
You are very, very welcome, Ceasar. And I'll see you on the field. And good luck this season, but not when you playing us, okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Good night, brother.
All right.
All right. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That is it. SFL Nation, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Special shout out goes out to Ceasar Akermann. Hold on.
Baltimore.
Hey, you're talking
Tommy
about firing me.
Tommy Wellbrock-Busse. Tommy West. Shush. Tommy Wellbrock-Busse and J.W. Hartshorn for being on the show. And of course, my interesting co-hosts for this evening. Only person that was well behaved was TJ. Thank you so much, TJ. I really appreciate you for being on. I may have to fire these two.
This is his first time being on with us. Next week he'll be back to his regular self.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. See, he waited to get drafted, so he's trying to be low key. Once he get drafted, it's over with.
The only reason he's chill on tonight's show is because of what was in his cup.
Hey.
Facts.
I love it. Hey, but y'all have any parting words for the good people tonight? Diggy?
I think this will play before the All-Star game for the minors or the Prospect Bowl. So congrats to everybody that made it in that. Also, good luck to the teams left in the playoffs here for the minors. Hope everybody has a great game, and go Madison.
All right, then. TJ.
Don't let the holidays stress you guys out. I know it's kind of a crazy time of the year. It ain't about spending, it's about showing the love, and it doesn't cost any money. And congrats to all the SFLm teams that made the playoffs. Draft's 10 days away, so that'll probably be getting covered here in one of the next couple shows. So good luck to everybody.
Indeed. Eddie?
As someone who has a limited budget such as myself, I can totally concur with what he just said. It's all about the love. You got to spend money. Just be happy. I'm telling you, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that good stuff. Praise God and all that. You know, everything else is just unnecessary. Just be happy that, you know, we got each other. That's all. What Ashley be saying? Treat each other well and stir out. That's all you got to do. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
like to add on to what Eddie said, you know, especially this time of year, you know, the SFL might be the only thing some people have out there. You know, they ain't got a lot of family, and this really is the family. This is an escape from reality for a lot of folks, and you don't know what all's on somebody else's plate. So, like you said, treat each other well.
Indeed. Good luck to Madison, to Albuquerque, to Ottawa, and to San Jose. Give us a great show. Looking forward to seeing what you guys can do. Season 20 rookies, you guys have been amazing to watch. You have been great in the chats. I've been watching, especially the late night sessions and stuff like that. Some of y'all are crazy, but it's going to be fantastic to see you guys hopefully get drafted in 10 days, like TJ said. I do wish you the best of luck in wherever you go. Of course, unless you play in Arizona, then you're gonna have some problems. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where season 20 goes for all of us. How many sponsorships are going to be announced? How many many more positive moments that we will have in the league? You know. So with that, I am looking forward to bringing you another great show next week. But until then, y'all, stay safe, treat each other well. For Diggy, for TJ, for Eddie, Striker, we're out.
Bye.
See you guys.
But nah.
And,
Yeah, that's a good idea,
just,
though.
and just so we're clear, I don't have a problem with anybody. So if anybody's watching this and tuning in, we're all good.
And just so we're clear, Diggs is on a 1-season contract, and you know, he's a hired gun. So my doors are open for anyone who plays linebacker, including TJ Harper. Even if your value is less than half of Diggs, because he's just not a great locker room guy.
What? Do you have anything to say to that, Diggs?
You know,
Diggy.
sometimes the truth hurts.
Everybody knows. I mean, the only thing you need to know, Eddie, scoot a little closer to the camera. Scoot a little closer to the camera and look deep into Eddie's eyes and tell me what color they are. And then you'll be able to tell me if that was truth or not.
I say he's full of shit. Can we say that? I don't even know if we can say
You
that.
can.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I can't. Oh my God, y'all are nuts, man.
If you put a little bit of that, especially if you put a little bit of that straight lemon juice, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay. So
Make
instead of like
more
lemonade.
tart.
Okay. Maybe I'll try that, because I had some Jack recently and it was pretty good. I just had it with some Coke, but lemonade sounds good too.
Well, I cut all the Coke out. January will be a year of no Coke for me.
Like a no sodas period, or just Coke?
Yep, the only carbonated stuff I'll have is like those energy drinks. Like there's no Coke, no Pepsi, no Fanta. If I go out, it's sweet tea or like a high C or something. All the Coke stuff has been gone.
Yeah, it's not good for you. I think they were saying that in one can of Coke is like 12. It's equal to having like 12 tablespoons of sugar in that one can. So you can imagine if someone drinks like a half a pack or a whole pack a day, like some people I knew, they got diabetes now, because you just, if it's that much sugar, Not to mention all the other sugar that you're probably ingesting in the day. So it's crazy.
Yeah, even
right.
ketchup has sugar in it.
Right. So the bread that you're eating has sugar in it, and so if you come, especially like if you combine all of that stuff and then you have like a salad and then you have multiple meals per day eating this, yeah, no wonder. But we're gonna get started recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.